So next up will be wide receivers. So that's the fifth most important position group. Now, let me tell you, I did debate whether, given the increased importance of wide receivers, whether they might be just as important as defensive backs, but I put them fifth. So, JR, there is a clear top three. Who would you say are the top three wide receiving NFL production at Big Ten teams?
Ohio State, number one. I would say USC and Oregon.
Okay, those are good
Actually,
guesses.
I'm going to say this exact same thing as Mish here. Yep, Ohio State, USC, Oregon. I don't know if it's in that order or not. And John's saying the same thing. I assume no Penn State, correct?
Okay, let me hit on something now. Oregon has been not nearly as good as you think. Only 2 wide receivers produced. They're ranked 13th in the Big Ten. They're not even top 25.
Wow.
Goes against perceptions, doesn't it?
That does. Okay, so if it's Ohio State, USC, who would the third? Washington?
So Ohio State is 1, USC is 2. So I'm going to hold that there. Ohio State 1, USC 2. Penn State was mentioned. They're 4th.
Wow,
So
that's
guess
crazy.
third. Who's third then? Come on
Penn
now.
State has way
What?
more.
Is
wide receiver
is
production.
is that a Michigan fan or is he a Penn State fan? Who
I believe he's a Penn State fan.
I was going to say Mitch. Okay, Penn State is 4th for wide receivers. Well, they really Penn State's had 1 first-round pick last 10 years.
Maryland. Is Maryland anywhere near the top 3?
No, they only have 2.
Okay.
They're among those tied for. To be fair for Oregon, they're tied for 10th in the Big Ten with that 2.
All right. Well,
So let's reveal it. So let's show receivers. And number 3 is Michigan. You believe that? Michigan is 3rd in the Big Ten. They've had 7 drafted wide receivers. Now, here's why we wouldn't think that. 0 first round. So they haven't had the marquee wide receivers, right? Guys good enough to get drafted, but not, because a lot of people will watch the first round and then they're not going to watch this day 2, and then a ton of people don't watch day 3. But so Ohio State clearly number 1, no surprise to anyone, right? 13 total picks, 4 first-round picks, and they rank number 1 in the nation over the last 10 years for picks. And for Ohio State, let's see, 3 of the 4 first-round picks are all within the last 3 years. So that's the other thing interesting. So those 4 first-round picks are all the last 3 years. So Brian Hartline, thank you very much. The production of him.
I was just gonna say, if Michigan fans really want some Twitter, some Twitter talking points here for you. Michigan has just as many wide receivers drafted in the past since 2020 as Ohio State does. USC actually has the most out of anybody. But since 2020, Michigan has the same number of wide receivers drafted as Ohio State. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. And people can use information like that to misconstrue things. But what it does say is they brought in solid talent. Like wide receiver hasn't held Michigan back like over the last 10 years. Now, to win a national title, though, that's where you want to have those difference-making receivers. And that's where, they won their championship, but they had other special people in other key positions. And, oh, by the way, they had an NFL quarterback, which is vitally important. Without him, it wouldn't have got done. USC, though, really good, right? 8 total picks, 3 first-rounders, tied for 6th in the nation. Very impressive. So just so everyone knows, 2nd in the nation is Alabama and LSU with 10 receivers each. And I did an article on my website last, I think it was September, October, who was wide receiver university. And it was really between Bama and Ohio State, because I also considered NFL production. It wasn't just draft picks. And Bama has had some major guys just producing in the NFL, right? So I gave that a lot of credence. LSU is clearly third when it comes to wide receivers nationally. Your Indiana Northwestern was 0. That's really bad. Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa, though, Wisconsin and Iowa, at least 3 successful traditional Big Ten West teams, but without wide receivers. Moving forward, that's got to change. You're not going to be able to just bully, Oregon, who has really good defensive linemen that can stop running attacks, forcing you to be more balanced, and it's not going to work, right? So that's going to be vital to those teams, I think. And then in the middle of the Packers there, we haven't mentioned Nebraska because they're consistently in the middle, 9th here, right, with 3, not real good, but not real bad either. And then Washington has done pretty darn well.
Yeah, let's take a quick second to say hello to Doreen. Doreen says, "Hey guys, I joined the channel." Hello, Doreen. Thank you for doing that. You will get the perk of being able to listen to or join in with the call-in show next Wednesday, 8 o'clock, 8 that night. So we appreciate you being here. And Doreen saying hello to you too there, Jeff. So we appreciate you being here, Doreen.
I always love to see you there. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for joining the channel and sharing the channel and everything as much as you do, Doreen. We really appreciate it. You're awesome. That's why they call you the Queen here on YouTube. All right.
The only thing I don't want to say, JR, too, let's talk Penn State. Last year, as we all know, poor wide receiver production, had the game where they didn't even complete a pass to the wide receiver right in the playoff. They've had they're 4th in the Big Ten, but that's tied for 4th really with Michigan State, Washington. I mean, to do what Penn State wants to do, which is win a national title, win Big Ten, that's not good enough. 5 total wide receivers. That's just in today's game in both the NFL and college, you need difference makers, at least good receivers, and more than one, really. And so I know they picked up a couple in the transfer portal this year. Always have had good tight end play, but that's going to be important. That's why I have a tan shade there for Penn State. I think it needs to be better.
For sure. I think it's so interesting when we got John and everybody bringing up names of current players on this Indiana team. These Indiana numbers are just going to skyrocket. Yeah. Not so much this year, but next year. Elijah Surratt, Umar Cooper. I mean, EJ Williams even has a possibility. He was a highly rated recruit. He could go late in the draft or something if he shows out this season. So
I've seen lists with Elijah Surratt from Indiana as the number 2 receiver in the Big Ten next to Jeremiah Smith. So
yeah, I would not surprise me at all.
All right.